fake.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me you're from Memphis.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my trusty co-ghost, Devin. And we're here to give our thoughts on the latest movie to hit theaters this past weekend, and that is The Last Night in Soho. Before we begin, I do apologize. My voice is a bit raspy. I'm getting over a little bit of seasonal allergies here. So, you don't get to hear my nice, smooth sound radio voice. But if I sound a bit stuffy, I do apologize. Just wanted to let you guys know. But before we begin today's podcast, you can listen to our show on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Devin, how the heck are you? How you been?
Long night in London, isn't it?
Yeah, a long night in London, just going down to the shops and, going down to the pub, having a good time with the mates, all that good stuff,
I don't even know what Soho is. Is that like part of London?
I believe
what is Soho?
Well, they're in South London. Wait, they're in, South London. So I believe that is like, I don't know what the abbreviation stands for myself, but I do know it is one of the antics that they use. But I believe that does stand for South London, as to which our bunch of heroes and misfits are from. So, yeah. So you had a good week. Nice. You ready for Halloween?
Yeah, it's coming up here Sunday.
You dressing up for
Sunday
anything?
Halloween.
Yeah, Sunday Halloween.
I have some options. Haven't decided yet.
Wilfred?
I think I threw that away, unfortunately. It was getting a bit used up.
Yeah, it's an easy one to kind of go through. So I actually haven't celebrated Halloween in a while myself, but I'm going to a Halloween party with some friends, and they do want me to dress up. So I decided I'm going to be a Batman fan. So I got this nice little DC for obviously this is an audio podcast, but for those of you or none of you can actually see this, I'm holding up a nice little DC fandom shirt that I got from this year's 2021 sweatshirt. It's like a nice little royal blue, and it says DC fandom on it, and it has Batman and Robin on it. So I'm going to wear that, and I got this nice little Batman ball cap I'm going to be wearing as well. And I got a Batman shirt I'm going to be wearing underneath my sweatshirt. And I'm just going to throw on some jeans and call it a day.
So you're saying you're not usually a Batman fan?
I mean, I am, but I'm more so a Spider-Man fan. I'm a Spider-Man fan.
Usually you dress up as something you can't be in real life.
You know what? That's true. See, I don't have anything else. So I decided to make do with what I have. I did go out.
You're at Halloween. I'm sure there's 12 of them near you.
Yeah. Oh, there definitely is. But I mean, nobody wants to spend that much on a costume. But we are supposed to be watching. We have like a movie poll that we're supposed to be doing. I believe they were between like The Shining, Beetlejuice, Hocus Pocus, the Blair Witch Project, Halloween 1978. So yeah. Sorry for that. Man, oh man, it sucks being sick. Well, I'm not sick, but I feel like I'm sick. At least my voice and the seasonal allergies. So, as I said, last off was Halloween 1978 as well. So,
if I'm watching Halloween movies, I don't want the non-scary stuff. I don't want the kids stuff.
Exactly.
I don't want Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's what I was telling my friends.
Not in school anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? I mean, like, Hocus Pocus is cool, I guess. I mean, like, I liked it when I was a kid, but
I don't understand how it has all the hype.
I don't either, to be honest. Like, it was cool back in the day, but it has a large following. But yeah, I want to be scared, like, shitless. Like,
I want to get in the mood. I don't want to be cheered up.
I think what's winning so far is The Shining. So
it's classic.
At first, I was rooting for Halloween 1978, but then the poll got messed up, and they accidentally. Anyway, we had to revote, and I chose The Shining. And I was like, hey, if you guys are looking for a nice double feature, you could do some nice little Dr. Sleep action.
Nice
in there.
long double feature.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a very long double feature. So I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring Dr. Sleep. Actually, I'm going to bring both of them because I don't know if they have it on streaming or not. But, you know, I'm going to be there ready with my Blu-rays. And I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? Have no fear. I got them both. Which one you want? Boom, boom, boom. But, Devin, we're here for a very, very special reason today. And that is to talk about the last night in Soho. So we're going to get into that right after our short break.
What brings you down then?
I'm studying London College of Fashion.
Room is on the top floor.
It's perfect. I love it. If I could live any place and any time, I'd live here in London in the 60s.
All right, Devin, we are back with our Last Night in Soho review, directed by Edgar Wright, written by Edgar Wright and Krysty Wilson-Cairns, and stars Thomasin McKenzie. My gosh. You know, I've been work all day. You know,
It would make sense. It would make more sense the other way around.
McKenzie Thomasin. What? I like Thomasin. I like that name.
I'm just not used to that as a first name.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever heard someone with this name. So I'm very, yeah. So anyway, stars Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, and of course, Matt Smith. And the plot is as follows. An aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s where she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer, but the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, you can actually hear my voice, like, you know, just going through the motions there. I've gone through puberty, I promise, but but yeah, so we saw this last night. We were planning on recording last night, but you know what? It was so late, and the earliest showing they had was 7:00 Central, 8. Well, did you see it at 7:00 Eastern?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't one far behind. So yeah, it was late, and I think Devin had the right idea. He's like, hey, he messaged me. He's like, let's just push this to tomorrow after work. I'm like, you know what? I think that's a good idea because I was tired after work, and
I also wanted to gather my thoughts and let it all sink in.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. I ended up staying a little bit up later than normal, but hey, you know, it is what it is. But I think it was definitely the good call. But I'm going to pass it over to Devin so he can give his initial thoughts to Last Night in Soho.
Well, first of all, I can't really think of a better horror/thriller movie for you to watch than this. I mean, you're the Brit lover here. I'm sure you were just in love with all of the London nights and the accents and the architecture and everything. Just ready to move now.
I really was. And I mean, it being Edgar Wright, like the man does not miss.
He has not missed. Like, if you just look at this filmography, show me a miss, and you're wrong if you do. Because from the very beginning, Shaun of the Dead, I fell in love. One of my favorite movies back when that came out, and he's just been going at it ever since, just hit after hit.
Yeah.
And I like how this is a bit of a different Edgar Wright we see here. It's more of an edgier, kind of serious tone. Like there are like a couple minor jokes here and there, but there's really not much laughing going on here because it's definitely a more serious tone than what we're used to with Edgar Wright. I really like that he took a chance there and went with that because I think he pulled it off in the end. I really like this one as a thriller. Thomasin McKenzie was really good. Anya Taylor-Joy is just a star. Like,
yeah,
it's insane. Like every scene she's in, that scene where she sings for the club owner. Oh my god, like acoustic or whatever.
It was great.
She's just so good.
Yeah, and
I definitely had some issues that we can get into later, but overall, really, really cool, like visual and stylistic movie. And I think it really, really works out in the end.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Devin. going to see this movie, it was, I mean, it's been on my radar like pretty much all year. And it was, it blew me away. Like I really like, me being like this huge Anglophile, but not even that, just the story itself. It was very, it was like kind of like a fever dream, like honestly. And it just,
It was like, I've been hearing a lot of people call it an acid trip. And the second half definitely feels like that at points, I would imagine.
oh, absolutely. And I mean, it was
Never been on acid. Don't come knocking on my door.
full disclosure.
I mean, the main character might have been on acid. She might have had something slip and drink there at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it's as much as, we always talk about Anya Taylor-Joy. She is a thrill to watch on screen, every performance that she's been in. Even like her X-Men performance was actually pretty good. In the
She carried that movie as much as it could have been carried.
Yeah,
which wasn't
yeah.
much, but
that was, I mean, her and Maisie Williams for sure. But with I gotta say the real star of the show was Thomasin McKenzie. Like, I love Anya Taylor-Joy, but of course, Thomasin being her character Eloise, aka Ellie, being the main character, I thought she did a great job. Like, she was very engaging, and you really felt for her character. I mean, you felt for both characters, but
yeah, I love the intro here, because within like a 2-minute scene at the very beginning, you pretty much understand everything there is to understand about this character. He did such a good job of setting that up in the beginning with that first scene.
Right. And we and we'll of course get into spoilers here in a second, but we started to find out things about Ellie moving forward, her wanting to be a fashion designer, and her being able to she's having these visions of this woman Sandy, who has been wrongfully murdered, and she's trying to figure out why. She's like, hey, I just want to go to school for fashion. It's like, okay, great, you got the passion for fashion, we got you. Like she's all there. And we see,
and I'm not much of a style guru, but I kind of liked her fits. She was pulling it off, the homemade stuff.
Yeah, she really was. It kind of explained, why she kind of had Ellie Thomasin's character had more of like an old soul because of her grandmother and just her upbringing all overall. So it kind of makes sense as to why she's obsessed with this era. And there's a lot of people out there who, I'm not sure if you heard about this, Devin, but it's like some people feel like they were born in the wrong era. Because like I knew
that's a classic cliche.
Yeah, it is. But with Ellie's character, I definitely feel like she was. I mean, like, it was set in the modern day until it's not, but it was very there are some people out there that you can kind of just tell how they behave. Like, I've met people who definitely seem older than their age. They have a very old soul, or they act or behave a certain way. They have trinkets and stuff from a certain era. But I do agree, it can be a cliche, but I think there is some truth to it. But it really just depends. I think it depends more so on your upbringing, if anything else. But were there any other initial reactions you wanted to get into before we get into spoilers?
I have not seen much of Matt Smith. I know he's Doctor Who and everything, but I think he was perfectly cast here because he just looks like a creepy dude. Just kind of a perfect fit, that face. Just looks like a ghoul or a goblin.
A goblin ghoul. That is very, very true. But yeah, so let's kind of just dive into spoilers here because, we got some places to be. My voice is not killing me, but I'm trying not to do as many sniffles and stuff like that. So I do apologize, but all that's going to be edited out at some point because that's the beauty of post-processing or post-production. But for everyone listening out there, that is your first spoiler warning for Last Night in Soho. Again, this is your second spoiler warning for Last Night in Soho. So if you haven't seen it, it just came out this past weekend. We don't blame you. So I really don't know if we're going to drop this I think we should probably drop this tonight. Yeah. We're going to drop it today because it's, it's the Halloween weekend. It'd be weird dropping it on Monday, November 1st. But yeah, so let's just dive deep into spoilers. I'm assuming
What's the twist?
The twist. What did you think about the twist? Because I know a lot of people that who watched this, they said they liked it up until they said the latter half is where it kind of fell apart for them. I personally enjoyed it, but I wanted to get your thoughts first.
I think I liked it. It definitely was not what I was expecting, until a certain part where you just kind of started picking up hints. But going into it, this wasn't what I was expecting the outcome to be, which is good. Kind of went against expectations in that way. And then I do agree at the very ending, a couple of the scenes in the downstairs going upstairs, it does get a little off the rails, but visually it is really cool. Like when she's crawling up the stairs, that just looked insane. It was like so trippy.
Yeah.
Our girl Sandy, she's a very complex character here.
She's a serial killer, Devin.
But like, you kind of feel for her.
I do.
Just classic, multifaceted villain type here.
So was she an anti-hero or an anti-villain?
Well, one of those things is real. We're not gonna talk about Don't Breathe 2. It didn't happen.
Life. If you want to check out our Don't Breathe 2 review, it is definitely up on the podcast. So if you want to check it out, I believe it is a part of like a double feature thing that we did with Free Guy. So there's always that. But yeah, definitely check that out if you guys are interested to hear our thoughts. But I do agree with you, Devin, about the movie itself for Last Night in Soho. I thought it was pretty great. Overall, it was just, it really, like, you know, like I said, it kept you very engaged and just going through, especially towards the twist. Like, I wasn't expecting it whatsoever. That twist was like, oh, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I was confused because it's like, you know, Eloise is having these visions of Sandy being murdered, but I guess we didn't get the full picture of what was going on because she almost was.
That scene was so cool. Like what he was doing with like the red lights flashing and just the perspectives and the mirrors and everything.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah, it was. And it like the entire, like when it came to that stuff, and honestly, I feel like if you have some sort of like absolute history of epilepsy or seizures, you probably should not be watching this. I really don't know.
Yeah, there was a flashing scene in this. I'm just really tired of them being in movies or shows.
Like a Squid Game.
Flashing lights, yeah. Just
I mean, I like it.
Enjoyable to look at.
Yeah, it could be a little bit more easier on the eyes, but yeah, the twist at the end. I mean, I was like, oh, like how did she like?
Yeah, there was a nice play on name here, kind of like Knives Out-esque, where there was that name twist.
Yeah,
I guess Alexandra has many nicknames you can go by. I never thought about that.
I didn't know Sandy was short for Alexander.
I think it's Alexandra.
Alexandra. Yeah, Alexandra.
Because there's Alex, there's Lex, there's Lexi, there's Alexa, there's Al, if you want to go that route, I guess. Big Al.
Big Al. What up, Big Al? Yeah, I didn't know. Like, when she said Sandy, I was like, I thought that was just more of a, I guess it's more of like a, you know, if someone's name is like Richard, you'll call him Dick.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. And I'm trying to figure out the correlation between Alexandra and Sandy.
Well, there's at least sand in Alexandra.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like that's reaching a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's also spelled IE, which is weird.
Oh, yeah. It is spelled IE. So I don't know, man. It's very weird, but I did like the play on words because even with Eloise, they're like, oh, do you go by Ellie? You know, there's and all of that. But I really like how Eloise got her name, and just the entire cast itself, like especially during the beginning when you see Ellie, you know, going off to the London College of Fashion, and you know, it is kind of like during the beginning, it's more of like a coming of age story, but then, you know, obviously it takes.
Yeah, I love when she first got there to her dorm and she's just like overwhelmed with all these awful people.
Yeah,
it can easily get to that point, especially when you're first starting off in college. Like, it's crazy.
She was literally like,
it felt very realistic.
Yeah, she was literally like a hermit, like just, in her shell, didn't want to talk to anybody.
Her awful roommate.
Oh my
wanted
gosh, that was the
I wanted
worst.
her to get
She was like, not that
no repercussions.
no, none whatsoever. Like
Jocasta.
She didn't even like. There was no redeeming qualities for her whatsoever. She just was.
I guess the punishment she gets is her awful name. That's what she has.
What
to
was
live
it called?
with.
Jocasta?
Yeah.
Was that it? Oh wow.
Yep. She was like, yeah, just like Kylie. But I go by one name.
I mean, I know a few Kylies, but yeah, I've never heard of a Jocasta before. But yeah, she was like literally the worst. Like just even from the beginning of, talking to Ellie and saying, oh, like what do your parents do? And finding out that Ellie's mother passed away and how she passed away by taking her own life.
Yeah, my uncle did that too.
It's like what. Like I really love Thomasin's like performance. She was like what are you talking about? Like she was just very straightforward and she knew what she wanted. And that's what I liked about her. She was very.
And that leads us to our love interest of the story. I didn't even know his name was John in the story. I thought he was a really nice character.
Yeah, I liked him as a character. I feel like this relationship was more natural than anything else. It didn't feel forced throughout. It kind of
they're both the outsiders.
Yeah, there's nice little baby steps here and there, and being a young girl and like the big city, you got to watch out for yourself, and that she definitely did that for sure, and she was very, very cautious between her and John and just any other male that she encountered, especially quote unquote old man Jack, but really not old man Jack. But yeah, it was very it was very, very engaging. Like I really like the part where the scene where there's like this big party in their dormitory and she just wakes up and she has like her blanket around her. She's just sitting there like, bro, like what are you doing?
And her coke gets stolen.
Yeah, her coke gets stolen. Like everything in the fridge has Jocasta's name on it besides that coke, and it just says Ellie. And I'm like, oh man. And then she's like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm moving out of the dorms. I was like, you know what? I don't blame her. She was out of there. She was like, I've had enough of this. No more. So that's how she ends up at the old lady's hotel or house. I guess it's a hotel or a, like one of those homes that people, be it an Airbnb almost, kind of like a yeah. And I wouldn't really call it
a duplex.
Yeah, a duplex. Yeah, I wouldn't really call it I wouldn't really call it like an apartment type thing. But she stays there, and then that's when everything hits the fan.
Yeah, it's when the visions come in.
The visions. We've had a lot of vision-esque stories. We got Star Wars visions, we got Paul's visions, and in Dune, and now we got Eloise's visions. And last night in Soho. It's a very vision-esque year, if you want to say so. But yeah, overall,
where's Raven? Where's Raven when you need her?
I know. Well, yeah. Well, there is a Raven this year. She's in Teen Titans season 3, and not so much on the Vision part, but yeah, I guess you can say so. She's always about the Visions. But yeah, we need Raven Baxter up in here to see what's going on. But yeah, what did you think just of the did you feel like the pace? Like I felt like for this movie being, I think it was around under 2 hours. And what I really actually wanted to talk to you about the effects, or the quote unquote effects. So I have a little bit of a trivia here for you. There's twins in this movie. Do you know which twins I'm talking about?
I do not.
So and they're only in one scene from the entire movie. I was watching some Edgar Wright interviews before. So there's a set of twins in the movie and by the way, this entire movie, there was barely any CGI. Like a lot of the effects were practical, especially like the editing when they're doing like the dance when Ellie goes to sleep and, she gets transported through time. So when they're doing the mirror, like when they're walking up, that's real. That's not CGI. Like they had to time that when they're like, twirling their hair and like kind of like wiping their lips. But
yeah, all the 60s scenes were so cool.
It was amazing. Like literally all that was, they said it was practically any CGI. Anya Taylor-Joy said it in a interview with Matt Smith. But the two twins, or the twins who are the butlers, is Fred and George Weasley from Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah. I was like,
I didn't know there was a butler at any point.
Yeah, so it happens when they're, because when it's the mirror scene, when Eloise first sees Sandy in the mirror, when they're like walking towards each other, and then like they kind of like wipe their lips or whatever and twirl their hair, and then they do like the little bop thing. There was the two butlers between both sides. Those are the Weasley twins.
Wow.
Yeah, I got some nice little trivia facts today.
Of course, the one you find is Harry Potter related.
Of course. But not even that. I really just enjoyed how most of this movie was practical effects.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the effects, because I think the biggest issue I had with the movie was the like zombie ghost things that were like the main spook factor here. I just didn't really like how they looked. I wish they would have done that practically, because it just looked goofy.
Yeah,
it was like Goosebumps or like Scooby-Doo quality.
Like, we gotta get out of here, Scoob.
Yeah, like translucent ghosts that were also zombies. It was just meh.
It was just a bunch of like gray old men in like their suits, and I mean,
it made it feel like I was watching a kids movie whenever there was those ghosts, because that's how the ghosts were portrayed when we were kids watching like Goosebumps or like
Are You Afraid of the Dark
or Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Like that's what a Halloween Town ghost would look like.
Like those ghosts would be like something you would expect in like either Fear Street or the 13 stories scary stories to tell in the dark or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
because that was like more PG-13,
and this is rated R too, so that's what makes it so weird. Like they chose the childish ghost. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it was very weird, very, very strange. I'm not entirely sure why. It didn't bug me, because I was like, oh, I sat through the entire movie. Just there was like a few jump scares, but the jump scares it didn't happen when the ghost came. It was like when the old man cop got hit by a car, or where Ellie almost got hit by a car. It was like real life, like frightening, like, hey, like get out of the way, get out of the street type deals.
Or when she went to turn off the alarm clock, that was a good one. That was a good fake out.
Oh,
her arm just gets grabbed by the guy.
Yeah. That was good. I was like, oh man, she's still dreaming. Like that's crazy stuff. But what did you think about the twists about, because the entire trailer has it to where you feel like the plot of the movie, or like at least the setup, where it's like, okay, there's this old man who's still out there. He killed Sandy. And what did you think about the twists of, the policeman? Because he was a bit shifty out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm still not exactly sure what that was going on there. Was he shown in any of the 60s scenes? Was he that one guy that she was talking to? The other younger guy?
So it was the cop, because when she essentially, when Sandy wants to become a singer and she meets Jack and, all that stuff, saying, oh, I can help you out. And she essentially becomes like, like this guy's hoe, like, the pimp and all that. So I guess South London type of a comfort girl in a way. I really don't know what you would call it. But when she, when Sandy's kind of just like dancing around and she's meeting all these guys, they're like, oh, what's your name? And she gives them a new name, everything, like, oh, Sandy, Alex, Alexa, whatever. Well, not Alexa, but you know what I mean. And one of the guys, she had said like, oh, what are you, a cop? And he's like, like you're too good to be in here, whatever. That was the old man.
Yeah.
So I was like, huh, okay, that was.
So we don't have to feel bad about him dying because he wasn't a great guy either.
He was strutting around like he had a shot with like all these college kids, all these college chicks. I'm like, dude, like you're literally like in your 70s right now. It's crazy stuff. But he was strutting around like he owned it, like he was owning the town, you know? Like I was like, okay, he's got a nice little walk to him and whatnot. He's like, I do as I please. I was like, oh, okay. But like it really made it seem like he was Jack, but you never got his name until when, you know, he gets hit by the car when Ellie's working at the pub.
That dude is 83. That's insane.
Really? He's still going.
Born in 1938.
Well, I mean, I guess if Clint Eastwood is still.
He was General Zod in the original Superman.
Was he really? That's interesting. The more you know. The only good thing IMDb is good for, you know, show notes and nice little trivia, which is actually pretty cool. But yeah, overall, like, I mean, I really liked the twist because I was like, oh crap, like it wasn't him. Like, who was that? And for a second, I thought Sandy, old woman Sandy, I thought she was a ghost the entire time for like a hot second.
I kind of started to catch on like halfway through when her landlord kept showing up. I was like, okay, there's no reason for her to keep being in these scenes if she's not like a main character. So I was starting to put it together there because she was just like
showing up as prominent. In like when Eloise brought John back to her place.
Yeah, she was just in multiple scenes, like more than a minor character would be in.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess for me it was more so. I mean, like I expected, like okay, you know, there's no way this entire, you know, movie can be about like, you know, Anya Taylor-Joy, Thomasin McKenzie, and Matt Smith. There's no way. And
obviously, Get Out does not exist in her universe here in this movie because she drank that tea.
Yeah,
never drink tea from an old lady.
Never. And I really just like how honest and like earnest that Eloise was, because, you know, even when she did find out, you know, she goes to the police and then they start sniffing around, and you know, when you find out the big twist with old woman Sandy, and she's like, you know, you know, like you're not going to tell anyone about this. She's like, no. Like you can really tell that she's like, yeah, like I'm never saying anything about this ever again. She's definitely, like, no.
Definitely big promising young woman vibes.
Yeah.
Taken to the next level even.
Because she didn't drink too much of that tea. So I knew she was going to either be hospitalized, or I'm like, there's no way she's just going to die. But then again, for a hot second, I thought she was going to. I thought John was dead. I was like, oh, old lady just stabbed him behind the back. Just like, it was crazy. I was like, this is insane right now. But I mean, it was very, it was a lot, like just in your face, but it was just.
And then we find out all the dead bodies are hidden in her bedroom.
Which
is what's causing all the visions.
That was crazy. That was like a mind fuck, pretty much. Like,
yeah, that's creepy.
I was like, dude, like she was still like, but
and then they're like they said help us or save us, and then she's like, no,
yeah,
not gonna do that. You're not getting the satisfaction.
Yeah, she wanted her to kill her. For a second, I thought she was going to, because I'm like, you know, like obviously. You could obviously see both sides, but it's like, you know, they did know what they were doing, you know, the whole, because we kind of get like the whole vision of like, of Sandy, you know, pleasing all these men. And, you know, it's very, it can be hard to watch for people who aren't really used to, you know, scenes like that. Or usually when it comes to that, or even like when I saw The Last Duel, there's like a few scenes in there that I feel like some people it could be hard to, for them to watch. But I felt like it was definitely necessary to like kind of get the story across. And, you know, they didn't like show anything, but, you know, it was like the implicit stuff.
I feel like they almost could have gotten away with PG-13 here.
How
it was
so?
Like in between.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I mean, if it wasn't for the blood and I think the cussing, they should have been good.
There wasn't even that much blood. I mean, there was like a fair amount on the bed, but.
Yeah, like after Sandy's quote unquote death, like you kind of see it. But I mean, I guess they could have, but I actually didn't realize this was rated R until you brought it up beforehand. So I don't know. Overall, I think it's okay. Like, I think for what it was, I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I think this is definitely like so far, like it's in my top 5. Like, I really, really enjoyed this movie. Like, this is something I can definitely see myself buying the Blu-ray for and like watching every spooky season and whatnot. Like, cause it
just all looks so cool. Even the movie cover, like
Yeah.
all the posters, it's just so cool.
he did a fantastic job. Like, and you know, me being a fellow Anglophile, I had to do my duty. But it was very, you know, like the whole, it was a period piece set in the modern time, which is what I really liked. You know, they had, you know, obviously the modern technology. We saw the Beats by Dre or whatever were in there for like a hot second, but it's like, I don't mind product placement all that much, because it's like, if you're gonna
That actually helped us figure out what the setting was right away.
Yeah, it really did, because you didn't know what set. You knew she was transported back through time, but you didn't know what point in time she was being transported from. So that was actually really nice. But it was great. I mean, everything from, you know, even the Halloween scene, you know, like Eloise is starting to freak out. You know, she can see ghosts. And, you know, even when she sees her mom in the mirror, like, it was freaky for like a second, but then it was actually kind of like peaceful, because, like, you know, she's able to not check up on her mom, but, you know, she's able to see her mom's face, like when she is near. But then after Sandy dies in the fire, that actually kind of freaked me out for a second. I was like, whoa. And it's young girl Sandy all over again. So yeah. Good stuff. But did you have anything to add for final thoughts before we get into our scores?
I think we covered it.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any other final lingering thoughts before we got into scores. So I guess let's get into scores, so I don't die of whatever this is in my voice. And I do apologize again. I sound like I'm super stuffy, but we're going to get through it. This one's definitely going to need a little bit more editing, which is totally fine. But Devin, what would you give The Last Night in Soho? Like, what grade, what score?
I loved the acting. Acting was amazing. The casting was great. The settings, just the world that he created. It's a nice world building. Like I said, I had an issue with the pretty lame zombie ghosts throughout. If you would have nailed that, this would have been like way up there, like really good, I think. But that kind of brings it down a little bit. I think I'm sitting at like an 85 right now, which is like really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved Edgar Wright, and I think he nails it again here.
Yeah. So for me, like I said before, you know, it really is one of my favorite films of the year. I was very, very shocked that it was. I didn't really know where this was going to fall. I'm like, well, I knew it was Edgar Wright, so I knew it was going to be something enjoyable. But I just really I love the journey that Ellie takes with Thomasin and McKenzie, you know, playing,
and the contrast between them.
Yeah, the contrast between them, and just I really think that, I mean, between this and Jojo Rabbit, I think this is definitely her Thomasin's like best role to date, like for sure. And she usually picks really good projects. I think she's only like 22, 23 years old, something like that, from New Zealand as well. So she has a very thick accent. But you know, if you're able to, if you have a good ear, it's, you know, it's very you know, pleasing, because I mean, going from New Zealand to like kind of like a British accent, kind of the same, but not really. Like, I can definitely tell the difference, because it's I don't want to get into it on here, but I can definitely hear the difference between it. But you can kind of feel like, you know, the fluctuation of her for Ellie was a little bit different than the way she usually talks. But, you know, job well done for, you know, Thomasin McKenzie, and of course Anya Taylor-Joy and Matt Smith. You know, the three of them really, really did make this film something special. for sure. You know, it being a psychological thriller, and it kind of leaning on, you know, like, oh, like, do you believe in ghosts type thing, but it was more so just like everything that, like, you know, Sandy went through. Like, you know, you really see that with Ellie's character. Like, she really starts to feel for Sandy, and, you know, seeing all these horrible things that she went through. And that, I think that was the thing that really bugged her until, you know, she started seeing all these other ghosts, and that really kind of pushed her over. But it was very, it was very, very engaging, and, you know.
And then the way they even showed that some of that stuff is even still happening today.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially, and I really like how they kind of depicted that, because it was very, you know, it happens. Like, unfortunately, it happens. You know, we as a race should definitely, you know, we try our best to stop it, but it, you know, they unfortunately sometimes always find a way. But it was, yeah, in the 60s, it was pretty, yeah, like prostitution was like way up there. But overall, you know, job well done. Everyone who was involved. I really think this is special. Like, all the editing and everything, just the dancing of kind of switching back and forth. And you kind of see, like, behind the scenes, they had to kind of like duck behind each other to like kind of make that work. And I was like, this is awesome. Just like the body mirroring itself, like, really, really got me. And I was like, this is something I could definitely watch again for sure. So I'm sitting at a 4.5 on Letterboxd. So it's almost there, you know. Like, I do agree with Devin. I mean, when it came to like the ghosts, like, I mean, they looked generic, but I think it just felt like it really just like gave you a lot of things during the last act. So, but I mean, the twist was interesting. But yeah, it's kind of like it was a lot happening in the third act, but it was still really, really good. Really, really liked it. So I think I'm gonna set it like a 4.5, because it was probably my favorite horror movie. Next up there with Fear Street, 1994 for sure. So really, really good stuff. So that pretty much concludes our review of Last Night in Soho. But hey, you know, yeah, I didn't realize how long we were going to be talking about this, but, you know, hey, here we are. You know, definitely going to edit the crap out of this one, so it's all right. That's all good to go. Again, I apologize for my voice. You know, I'm trying to remedy that before the Halloween weekend. But what's coming up on the podcast, we have our Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire review that's going to be dropping on November 3rd. I can't believe we're pretty much halfway through the entire story. You know, it's been a great journey so far. If you're a big Harry Potter fan, go check out our previous 3 coverages that we did for Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and The Prisoner of Azkaban, of course. And like I said, Goblet of Fire is going to be dropping on November 3rd. We got some awesome friends of the show that will be joining us. And then we have our Eternals review coming up next weekend. So that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of crazy discourse around that one. But I have seen it. Don't want to give anything away, but I definitely want to see it again. So that's all I'll say. So, Devin, let's get on out of here. And we hope everyone has a safe and happy Halloween weekend. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.